Okay, so for the next, what we're gonna do, we will gonna look at mass assignment vulnerability, and we can see that there are a couple of challenges, like more than one challenges for this mass assignment vulnerability. So let's first understand what exactly is this all about. So mass assignment is one of the security vulnerability that occurs when an malicious user or an attacker is able to manipulate the input data in order to modify the object's property, which later on can lead to unauthorized changes in a particular application. This basically happens when developer usually or intentionally or unintentionally doesn't properly validate and sanitize user input, or fail to restrict which properties can be modified in an object that is in the application. Okay, below is one of the well-known, or I would say a famous HTTP request and response, which slightly demonstrate the mass assignment vulnerability. So suppose we have a login endpoint and the user is logging into the application using their own set of credentials, such as this username and with this password. And this is what the typical HTTP login response will gonna look like. So the current login response includes two important parameters, or I would say two important objects, which are is underscore verified and is underscore admin. This indicates that the user credential was correct. That's why the verified is true. And is underscore admin object indicates that the user is not admin at the moment. So here a user or an attacker, what they will gonna do? They will simply gonna try to manipulate this object value. How they will gonna manipulate this object value? Just by simply copy pasting the exact object value in HTTP request and slightly modifying the object's property as in object's value. So this is how the attacker will gonna gain the admin access. Here in this login endpoint, a user or an attacker will gonna provide their own set of credentials. This username, suppose as an example, this username and this password, followed by the object which the attacker is or the user is intended to modify. So they will gonna add this object over here with the slightly modified value, which is this. This means that now the user or an attacker is trying to change the isAdmin value to true. They have specified this information in HTTP login request, and if the application, in our case, which is CR API, so if the application is has accepted, or is the application is accepting such kind of information in HTTP login request, then this should be the possible HTTP response, which will gonna have is admin status to true. In this way, the user or an attacker will be able to elevate their privilege from a normal user to an admin user. This is how a typical mass assignment vulnerability looks like. Meaning, one more time, basically trying to modify such object value whose permissions are not being allocated to the user in order to gain or in order to perform several set of operations. This is what mass assignment vulnerability is all about. Now let's look at the challenge. So we have three challenges over here. First one is to get an item for free. Second one is to increase the balance by $1,000 or more. And the third one is to update video's internal property. So in order to solve challenge number one, what we have to do? We need to find a way to get refunded for an item that we haven't actually returned. Okay. For this, what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna simply navigate to my application. I will go to this shop section now, and currently, as you can see, my balance is $100, and my objective is to find a way to get refunded for an item that you haven't actually returned. That means in order to return an object, I will first have to buy it. So I'm gonna buy this wheel for $10. Yes, order sent successfully. Correct. So this is my past order. This is exactly this endpoint will basically gonna reflect or disclose the user's past purchases. Correct. And over here we can see that I can return this order, and by clicking on this order detail button I will be able to see all the different options. Okay, so let me forward this request. Let me go back, and my objective over here is to get the refund for an item that we haven't actually returned. Correct. That means I don't have to click on this return button, but still I should be able to get a refund. So let's see how we can do that. As you can see, once I clicked on this buy button, earlier on my balance was $100, but now it is $10. Correct. So now what I'm gonna do, I have already intercepted this request and send it this request in the repeater. So my current value, sorry, not value, my current order is this wheel. Correct. And once I click on this order detail, I will be able to see that my order ID is 9. Correct. So this is what my order ID exactly looks like. Now I'm gonna send this request to repeater, forward this over here, and in the HTTP response, we can see that the status code is delivered. Now what we have to do, we have to change this status to return. For that, what I'm gonna do, I will have to change this HTTP request to not post but put. Okay. And second, we have to change the content type from application x www form URL encoded to applications slash JSON. Okay. And now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna simply enter this status over here, and I'm gonna change the status from delivered to returned. And by doing this, let's see whether we are able to change this status or not. So I will send the request, and as you can see in the HTTP response, we indeed are able to change the status from delivered to return. Correct. What if I go ahead and refresh my application, refresh my web page? So yes, as you can see, from $90, I was able to get the refund. Correct. And it is over here. So in this way, what we can do, we can simply get the refund from the application of the application. Correct. So this was all about challenge number 8. Okay. And if I click on this returned value, we can see that I have purchased this item on this and this. Correct. So this is how we perform this vulnerability. So this is how we solve this challenge. Then later on we have another challenge which says that we have to increase my balance by $1,000 or more. So now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go back to my box suite on the same HTTP request. Correct. Over here, I can see that the quantity value is 10 and the price item is $10. What if I manipulate the quantity? For that, what I'll have to do, I will simply have to write the quantity value over here, and I'm gonna increase the quantity from 1 to suppose 1000. Will I be able to manipulate it? Yes, I'm able to manipulate it. Now, just by calculating the price, I should be able to get the $10,000 in my available balance. Let's refresh the page, and no, it is not allowed. I mean, I was not able to get that at all. Okay, no problem. What if I enter the quantity by 100? Again, no. Okay, so let me buy it one more time. Order sent successfully. And this is the order all endpoint request. I'm gonna send it to repeater. And yes, as you can see that there are two ID values. So now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna simply change to this all to 10. Correct. So this was the amount paid on this by this. Again, this is also one of the endpoint which discloses a lot of users information. Correct. Now I will have to change the get method to put method. Correct. And then what I'm gonna do next, I'm gonna copy this quantity and status from HTTP response and paste it over here like this. And I will update the quantity from 1 to 100 and status from delivered to returned. And yes, as you can see, we were able to do it. Now I will have to refresh the page one more time just to check whether we were able to get this many balance in our account or not. Let me refresh this. So yeah, as you can see, I was indeed able to re change my available balance just from $90 to $1,090. This is how we will solve challenge number 9. Correct. But what if I go ahead and change the quantity from 100 to 200? Will I be able to add more amount in my balance? No. So in order to do that, what I'll have to do, I'll have to again buy an item. So this is how I'm gonna do it now. Now what I'll do, I will simply add more amount in my balance. So currently you can see currently my balance is 1080 and it means $1,080. So what I'll do, I'll change this all to 11. 11 is my ID, order ID. Correct. And for the moment the status is delivered and quantity is 1. I will copy it and add it over here. But I will not use get method. I will use put HTTP method and I will change the quantity from 1 to 200 status returned and I will send this request. So yeah, it has been done and I will refresh this page and you can see that I was able to manipulate the available balance. I got a lot of amount. Correct. So this is one of the business logic vulnerability and we were able to solve the challenge number. What was the challenge number? Challenge number 9. Easily. Correct. Next. For challenge number 10, what we have to do, we have to update the internal videos property. Meaning, we have already updated a video over here, if I'm not wrong. Okay, that video was deleted. Let's upload a video one more time. This video. Okay, and okay, let me forward this request. Now I'm gonna simply change the video name. So video name, suppose I'm entering test. I will intercept this request and I will analyze this request. I mean this endpoint request, put endpoint request in a repeater. So let's change this conversion parameter value and let's see whether we are able to do it or not. Okay, so I'm gonna change this to you have been HACK. Okay, this is my value and yes, we are indeed able to change the conversion parameters value. And let's check whether we are able to change the video or not, profile video or not. And how we will gonna do that? Same, but this time I'm gonna add uh, XSS payload. But my XSS, okay, XSS will gonna get triggered, I guess. So let's do that. So for that, what I'm gonna do? I'm simply gonna go to google.com. This should work. My internet. This page is not working. Okay, it is working. I will need payload, all the things, XSS. My internet is kind of slow. And over here, what I need, I will need an XSS payload in base 64. Okay, so let's check whether they have base 64 XSS payload or not. Base 64. So yes, indeed, they have base 64 payload. But let me verify what is the syntax over here. For that, what we have to do, I will simply do this and I will decode the base 64 encoded data. So yeah, this should pretty much work. So I'm gonna copy this. I'm gonna add this over here and I'm gonna send the request. Am I be able to do it? No, I was not at all able to change the profile video. So sad. Correct. But yeah, no worries. We were indeed able to manipulate the conversion parameter. Correct. So this is how we will going to solve our challenge number 10. That's all. Later on, what we will do, we will look at SSRF vulnerability.